Tequila to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. It's time to talk about Jack Colletto. Wow, this is going to be absolutely fun. Flexibility and versatility is what Jack Colletto is all about. And in this case, versatility equals flexibility. And that might as well be the 49ers mantra. With Kyle Shanahan at the helm, he finds these Swiss Army knives, or in this case, a jack of all trades, that he can use in a variety of different ways. And so when this came down that the 49ers had signed Jack Colletto, I found it very interesting because, yes, I had watched him play at Oregon State. I had seen several of his games, in fact, living on the West Coast late at night. Guess what comes on? Pac-12 football. So Jack Colletto was somebody I was familiar with, and I had also watched a little bit of his film, watching some other players. I seen him make plays, and I was like, man, who is this linebacker-looking player that is playing quarterback? Because that's right, Jack Colletto pretty much does it all. He was a quarterback originally going into college before he transferred over to Oregon State. He tried to play quarterback. It did not work out. So then he translated into other positions. He translated to linebacker and played some interior linebacker. He's got that physicality. He was able to do pretty well. The speed overall to play in linebacker in the NFL wouldn't have been there. But he also played fullback, he played quarterback, and he's got that ability to throw the football. So he's an interesting prospect that the 49ers can use. And Kyle Shanahan loves having these kinds of players that he can use in a variety of different ways. And at fullback, he has Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk, also a former quarterback, but has a tremendous amount of ability to catch the ball in the backfield, but is still one of the best blockers as far as fullback. So there's a lot of versatility there. The belief is that Jack Colletto's coming in to play offense and probably to play fullback. Is Kyle Juszczyk in trouble? Absolutely not. Kyle Juszczyk is not in trouble. Jack Colletto is a guy they're going to bring in to develop. The 49ers haven't been against this before. They had brought in Josh Hokett out of Fresno State, and he was with the 49ers for a couple of seasons, spending time on the practice squad. And they just continued to work with him to see what he was and if he could come in and play if needed, if something happened to Kyle Juszczyk. Juszczyk's versatility is almost impossible to mimic. The 49ers have had to use tight ends in that respect. But the matchups that he comes up with and the way he's able to win in the passing game is very hard to duplicate. Just talked about Braden Willis a couple of days ago and how he could definitely come in and play a fullback role if asked. But if you have a guy on the practice squad or like Jack Colletto, why couldn't you just elevate him if something happened to Kyle Juszczyk? And I think the 49ers are tackling this from a couple of different fronts. Number one, Jack Colletto has pretty good size, 6'3", almost 240 pounds. He ran a 4.7 40, so he's athletic. Is he as athletic as Kyle Juszczyk? No, but he's extremely athletic for a fullback. A 4.77 would put him right between Braden Willis and Cameron Latou. So that just shows you his athletic profile. He's a little bit shorter, so I don't see him transitioning to a legit tight end in this league. But as a fullback, that is plenty of size and strength. He's got some things he needs to work on, of course, but also we've got a guy that's getting older in Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk has been aging, and now he's going to potentially filter out at some point. We'll see. With finances being the way they are, you don't know where the 49ers are going to have to trim. Kyle Juszczyk is going to play this year at 32 years old, but after this year is a little bit of a break in the contract. The 49ers have an out in case they want to use it. Now, if Kyle Juszczyk's still playing at a high level and you can afford to keep Kyle Juszczyk, you keep Kyle Juszczyk. But I think the 49ers are preparing just in case. They're also preparing just in case he gets hurt. It's always smart to insulate your roster with players that have similar traits or players that you can translate in and they can get the job done. They try to do it at every single position. That's why they drafted linebacker the way they did. That's why they drafted tight end the way they did. That's why Jair Brown was a selection. Yes, is he eventually going to take over the reins as the safety next to Tauno Fonga? Yes. But this year, he's going to be a guy that's going to give them a lot of support. And if something happens, he can step right in. So that's what they're trying to get out of Jack Colletto. So is he the eventual replacement for Kyle Juszczyk? I think that would be asking a whole lot of Colletto, an undrafted free agent, and Kyle Juszczyk is so good. So I don't think that is the overall plan of what the 49ers want to do. But let's talk a little bit about Jack Colletto and his strengths. One of the things that I noticed about him in watching his film, and I like watching the plays that he plays quarterback in the Wildcat, because you see the strength and ability that he has with the lower half. His legs, very strong. He's able to power through plays and make tackles. And that would be some versatility the 49ers could definitely add to the offense if he was able to continue that type of running style in the NFL. If he was able to run Wildcat, get the football, and run people over into the end zone, that would give you an added dimension to your offense if and ever he made it to the 53-man roster. The other thing that's very cool about him is the fact that he's played fullback and linebacker. He's going to be a nice addition to your special teams. Being able to play him on special teams, as a linebacker that he can tackle, as a fullback that he can hit. So those are things that translate really well in case you need him to come up and make plays at some point. Something, heaven forbid, happens to Kyle Juszczyk. So he does give you versatility to help on special teams. And we've seen that with the 49ers in their draft picks. These guys are expected to play special teams. Last year, Danny Gray, drafted in the 3rd round, going to be the 5th wide receiver. And you know what? He became one heck of a gunner on special teams. So translating into special teams is important. We've seen it from several players, from Danny Gray to Talanoa Hufanga. And I think that's what Jack Colletto will do. He'll be expected to translate into special teams. Will it happen in 2023? Probably not. We're looking at a player that's probably going to be on the practice squad in 2023, and his best chance to make the roster will be whenever Kyle Juszczyk moves on. And if he doesn't, Jack Colletto may be never on the team like Josh Hokett. He's able to run and able to block. He does that at a pretty good level. The thing about him is his blocking. There are some angle things that he needs to work on. He needs to get better at that if he's going to be a fullback in the NFL. Part of being a fullback is being able to hit moving targets at the right angle to be able to create holes. The timing, the footwork, it's all important. And one thing about Kyle Shanahan's offense is it's definitely predicated on timing, whether it's in the play action game or when you release your route running. All those things are going to have to be worked on. Another reason I don't think Jack Colletto, even though he's a jack of all trades, could make an impact for the 49ers in 2023. I think this is a down the road eventual potential that they could use. So he's got to get better at that as well. And he's also got to get better of absolutely bringing the wood. Though he played linebacker, he doesn't play linebacker like a D. Winters or somebody like that brings the absolute thump when they hit, a Dre Greenlaw. He was a little bit different. So right now, he's more of a finesse blocker when blocking linebackers, and he's going to have to step that up. He's going to be able to play fullback in the NFL. When you hit these guys, you have to be able to move them. You're going to be hitting defensive ends, linebackers, safeties. You have to get a move on, create a lane for your running back to be able to go through. It's all about movement when you're a lead blocker in the NFL. It's not exactly the old school style of the isolation where you isolated a linebacker and it's one-on-one fullback versus linebacker and you got to win. They're trying to stuff you in the hole. You're trying to win in the hole. That stuff doesn't happen as much unless you get around the goal line. But you still have to get movement when you make contact. So far right now, he hasn't proven that he can consistently get that movement. But I do think he can get there because of his size. He can put more size on at 6'3", nearly 240 pounds. He can definitely put on another 10 pounds of size, and I think he'll make an impact. But I like him as a pass catcher. I think he can develop even more into that. But the versatility is what gives the 49ers the flexibility. And his ability to play several positions, including Wildcat quarterback, make him a fun prospect. Fullback, quarterback, running back, special teams guy. I think those are what's fun about Jack Colletto and why you go out and you get a player like that. We talked about the 49ers adding Joey Fisher and his physical traits that make him impactful on the offensive line. Jack Colletto's is his whole thing, his whole ability is the flexibility to play wherever you need him. And that has been the name of the game for the San Francisco 49ers. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, all of them able to play several positions. Why not do it even with a guy like this and take a chance on a player that can make an impact down the road. So will Kyle Juszczyk be out after the 2023 season? I think it's a little bit more unlikely. My guess would they would go to him and he'd be willing to financially help them to stay with the team. He's definitely sold and locked into this core. But I think the 49ers are preparing just in case something happens and either they can't afford Kyle Juszczyk or Kyle Juszczyk goes down and they need a player. Don't want to have to take away from your tight end room to play fullback. And with Jack Colletto, they just might not have to. You throw in the fact you have two of the better running back coaches in the entire league, Bobby Turner, Anthony Lynn. They're going to be able to develop this guy. These two guys working together. Running backs are definitely getting a huge advantage playing for the San Francisco 49ers. I think they might have struck with somebody that's at least very interesting. Last year, we talked about Jason Poe potentially playing fullback. Maybe he was going to play tight end. I think Jack Colletto is that guy this year. The versatility to be able to play multitude of positions, but really the special teams ability is something to watch as well. So what do you think about Jack Colletto? Do you think Jack Colletto is a player that the 49ers can definitely use on their roster? You know, is he the eventual replacement for Kyle Juszczyk? I think that's a big question. I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Will 2023 be the last year for Kyle Juszczyk? The 49ers will move away from his contract and go with Jack Colletto? Or is Jack Colletto just insulation in case something happens, heaven forbid, to Kyle Juszczyk, and they see what they can get after or, you know, get from him if something happened? I want to know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. Like the video if you can. Really goes to help the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Lots of subscriptions lately, and we're pushing towards 4,000 subs right now. It's going well. I'd like to get there before training camp, and it's entirely possible that we can because of all the great people that have subscribed and all the support that I've been getting on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you join me tonight as we watch or we go through the schedule release and talk all about the games the 49ers are going to be playing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Come through. Let me know what you think. How many games the 49ers are going to win? What's your favorite matchup that you're looking forward to watching? It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. But until then, stay safe. And remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.